Over to the weather desk with Nate Harrington. Nate?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ashley. So we just got more damage reports in right at 5 o'clock from Moreland, which is just outside of that tornado warning. Basically, that tornado warned cell, Moreland is basically right there, just north of Double Springs. They had a report of a few structures damaged that's south of Grayson. Unknown what those structures were, but we do have some damage reports. And like Ashley's been saying, these spin-up tornadoes, they form very quickly. They probably dissipate pretty quickly, but this is indicative of what you see during tropical storms, landfalling hurricanes. When they move inland, there's so much spin in the atmosphere that you're going to have these. This was going to be a foregone conclusion. Where they pop up was what the question was going to be for today. And we know for a fact that the atmosphere is still going to be this energetic here for the next several hours. So we could see more of these start to pop up. What we want you to know is, when we say spin up, we don't mean weak tornadoes, so to speak. I mean, they're not as strong as the big supercell tornadoes, but they still can do lots of damage. Remember Cindy back in 2017? It was a tropical storm that made landfall way west of here, but we had significant damage in the city of Fairfield. You remember the ABC store was damaged. There was a KFC. There was a oil change business that was completely destroyed because of a spin-up tornado. So these things can really pack a punch, even though they're quick hitting and they're not your prototypical supercell thunderstorm tornadoes. So I want everyone to know that these things can produce a whole lot of damage. And it looks like a lot of the damage reports that we are getting are just near the Grayson community in Winston County. Moreland and Grayson, they're very close to each other. So it looks like a lot of what we're seeing right now is from those communities there. And actually, Ashley's putting up the couplet that we have. Inmanfield and Addison, basically right in between there, right along County Road 47 is where the rotation is right now. And it's a pretty decent couplet, and you have to understand that the radar site well away from where we're looking here, so there's going to be a little bit of it'll probably look a lot weaker than it actually is. So between Inmanfield and Addison, if you're near a spot there, anywhere along County Road 41, you need to get to a safe spot right now, because this is headed towards you, or New Georgia. Up the line, the tornado warning kind of ends just a few miles past that, but all indications are it looks like this thing's going to hold together and most likely will still be a tornadic storm that we're going to have to track here for, I don't know, the next 15 to 20 minutes. These things do not, they might be producing tornadoes that lift and then drop back down, but the storm structure itself normally stays together pretty well. So we're going to keep tracking these. Ashley, back over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. We were just slicing through these storms, too. I'm not sure if we can put weather one,
let's put weather one back there.
Up on the chroma key. But what I wanted to show you with this is the height of these storms. And this, where we see this dark purple, this would indicate where hail is developing. Look how tall these storms are, 10, 20, 30, 40, upwards of 50,000 feet.
Which is weird for a tropical system.
It is. Generally, tropical systems are about 30,000 feet and below. They're typically very shallow storms, which also makes the tornado development a little bit more dangerous, because they're oftentimes very low and harder for the radar to actually pick up on. But these are very tall. One thing that shows me is there's just lots of moisture in the atmosphere, and that there's some buoyancy there. And so we're getting this rising motion, and what that's doing is that's creating this essentially effect that makes those hailstones. So you have this pellet of ice in the atmosphere. Because that updraft is so strong, it takes it up, it freezes it and melts as it falls to the ground, and then as it goes back up, it refreezes again until those hailstones fall. Not that this is going to be large, they're probably pea-sized hailstones, but when we look at those hailstones and we look at hail development, that's also an indicator of the strength of a storm, which can add to the severity of a situation and the potential for some of that development. And we can see this here. We can see actually the updraft there. Look at that. That's powerful. Okay,
Unreal.
so this is where you have your updraft. That's look at all of this. So this is the atmosphere. It's literally bubbling up along this band, essentially, from Laura. So the spin of Laura, the actual center part of Laura, where we'll call it the eye, it's the remnants, but that center of circulation is well back into western Kentucky and West Tennessee. And this is the effect in North Alabama right now. This atmosphere is literally bubbling up because it's just spinning. It's creating so much spin in the atmosphere. So we are seeing extreme, look at this, the heaviest rain is still at 30,000 feet, but that's the heavy rain. That's crazy. So what we're seeing right now are kind of extreme conditions for tropical situations, not necessarily as we're looking at when we were looking at our couplet. We did see that well-defined hook echo earlier, but now it seems to become just a bit more rain wrapped, which is something else with tropical systems very typical, especially with these spin up tornadoes, is you just get a lot of moisture in the atmosphere and it starts to wrap that rain around it. So some of those visual features that we look at on our radar tend to go away. But if you remember when we started this, it was a well-pronounced hook, and now it looks to be more like a rain-wrapped area of circulation. But I actually want to point out there may actually be two areas of rotation. If we put our velocity on there real quick, we have the Inman Field area, and then back to our west, maybe it's not as well defined. We can still see a little bit of that rotation there in Inman Field. Okay, it maybe not as well pronounced.
I was on the Birmingham radar. Let me go to the Huntsville radar. That's a little bit better. You can kind of see some of that velocity there, but yeah, we're